Monday Night Football, prime time that we're all talking about. Do you think the Bucks will be able to cover the 4-point spread at home?
I have no idea what in the hell is going to happen in this game. And that's just the God honest truth. Because you see the Bucks win a game overseas against the Seattle Seahawks, and you feel that
Yeah.
it's almost destiny. You come back off your bye, you're rejuvenated from the win, you go take on the Cleveland team that has a little bit of dysfunction that's been around them the entire season. And you go up there and you get a win, and it should be almost a given. And for that game to get pushed to overtime, and then for the Bucks and for Brady in particular to lose in that manner, I mean that's deflating as hell. And so now you get a home game against the Saints, and this is another team that's really hard to project what they're going to do. You face a Rams team that's been struggling, and then Andy Dalton looks like I don't know who I could compare him to, where he throws for like three tubs and like almost 300 yards. And you're like, man, where did this come from? And then they're also a team that can go and travel out to the west coast of San Francisco and just get shut out like 13-0. And
Yeah.
the Saints haven't had Marcus Lattimore for the majority of the season. I'm not sure if he's going to be back. There's just a lot of red flags all over the field for both squads, and we haven't even talked about the bad juju that Giselle has sprinkled over Tom's head that hasn't gone away since the early part of the season. I don't think it's going to go away. Like, this dude is straight up legitimately cursed right now, and I don't think that the Bucks can overcome it. And so, and yeah, so I have nothing for this one. Like, I'm going to watch it because you can't help but watch Tom Brady. And you can't help to see if
Yeah.
Andy Dalton's going to need to throw 3 touchdowns or 6 interceptions, but I have no way to project what's going to happen in this outcome.
Part of me kind of leans the Bucks just because the Saints have scored 13 or less in 3 of their last 4 games, and the Bucks defense give up the 7th fewest points and 9th fewest yards in the league. And they've also won 2 of their last 3 games. They're playing a little bit better, but still, Jared, this is just like a weird game to handicap. How do you approach it?
Yeah, it's funny because the first game between these teams, I like the Saints. I bet them, I think it was +3 or +3.5. And they lost that game 20-10. It was a close game until the final 10 minutes. It was also the game that Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore got into a little tiff. I hope
Mm-hmm.
Lattimore returns this week from his abdominal oblique type injury because I'd love to see that matchup play out again for entertainment value. But it's funny too. But the reason why it's funny because that was really the last game that I can remember that this Bucks team kind of flexed their muscle. They won week 1 against the Cowboys when Dak got hurt, and they won that game in New Orleans where there was a very emotional finish. And then they lost to the Packers. They lost to the Chiefs. They barely beat the Falcons. They lost to the Steelers. They lost to Carolina. They lost to Baltimore. So it was kind of like that was the last moment that we saw this Bucks team kind of come together as a team and show you that fight, that fire that brought them to the Super Bowl. And the irony is the Saints have kind of been that thorn in the side of the Bucks during this recent run. Even when Brady and the Bucks were good last year, they got blasted both times by the Saints, and they've struggled against the Saints during Tom Brady's tenure. So my point is maybe this New Orleans team, the heat, the rivalry, the divisional nature of it, the familiarity, maybe that sparks something with Tampa Bay. And we start to see a little bit more of the Bucks that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
Less Germany hangover, less Giselle curse, less, Tom Brady voodoo. And maybe we start to see a little more. I mean, this is still, listen, the personnel is the same. The coaching staff, they take Arians out, but, Todd Bowles is the same defensive coordinator, and you still have the same offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich. So it's not like anything has changed schematically with this team other than they're just not playing well. And this league, sometimes it takes one of those moments, a galvanizing moment to get a little more emotion. So that's kind of where, and again, not a very analytical handicap, EPA, efficiency, all that crap. I just think Tampa Bay needs a kumbaya type of game. And maybe the Saints, with the fire that this rivalry has brought, maybe that's what sparks them.